Hello there. I've been using this Tiagra 4700 rear derailleur for quite some time now, and I've been using it with a short, medium cage. And as you can imagine, having a medium cage is fairly painful if you want your drivetrain to be nice and tight. Especially since I've been using it on a 1x drivetrain, so I can get away with using a short cage. So what I'm going to do now is to transplant the cage from this Alpine chain tensioner to this Tiagra rear derailleur. And I'm going to exploit the fact that Shimano is very persistent in its usage of this single bolt design to hold the entire cage assembly within the pinnacle of the derailleur. They have been using this in the derailleurs with the aluminum pinnacle in the dual pivot design since I believe mid-90s, and there are very minute differences between different derailleurs, and usually it's possible to switch cages between them or change cage length like I'm going to be doing now. The tools I'm going to be using is 2mm Allen wrench, 3mm Allen wrench, and pliers, because I might need some leverage to keep the cage in place, because the spring inside the P knuckle is very strong. So take your 2mm Allen key, put it inside this bolt, unscrew. There's going to be this funny bolt here which holds the entire assembly of the cage in place, and I'm having trouble moving it. Alright, here it is. Here it is. Put it away, it's important. Now the cage is going to slide away, and I wasn't very careful because it jumped away. However, no damage was done, so let's do it with the derailleur. It's actually beneficial to hold it like this so it won't jump like before. So here, this is my cage bolt. Unscrew. Alright, I am also very clumsy, as you can imagine. Okay, you can see that these bolts are identical. Now put it gently away, and a word of advice. Most of cages between different derailleur models use the same mount or the same pattern, but the holes which hold the spring of the P knuckle might be in different locations. Between these two cages they should be exchangeable. However, you might find yourself in a situation when the cage of the one derailleur has holes here, while the cage of the other derailleur has holes here. It's usually dremellable, or you may need to take the spring from one derailleur also to the other. I'm not going to be doing this here because it's most likely not necessary. Anyway, to put it back together, choose your hole. Not here, I want the higher tension. Oh, by the way, if you don't know, there are usually two holes here, and by switching to which hole this spring here is hooked into, you are changing the cage tension, which is quite useful sometimes, especially if you want to use an out-of-spec cassette such as 1121 or 1136. Anyway, I'm using the higher tension setting because I like my chain to be tight. Now I'm keeping this in place, taking the bolt from the derailleur, putting it where it belongs, and there you go. Right, now in order not to lose any parts, I'm going to assemble the chain tensioner as well, although it's not necessary, because who cares, I'm not riding a single speed or an internally geared hub, so it's not really necessary for me. Okay, So, reassembling. By the way, if you ever had, as I said before, I'm clumsy. Anyway, hold it together. If you ever had an idea if you can ride without a rear derailleur and a cassette, just using the front chainrings, your dream can come true, because you can use such long caged chain tensioner to do your bidding. Now, as I am a gear slut, I'm going to switch those golden pulleys to this derailleur, because reasons. However, I'm not going to be showing this to you because it's boring. Alright, this is the finished product. I'm going to be mounting it to a bike in a few minutes. And now, Shimano uses several different cage mounts. This one is the most common. However, on its Shadow Plus range of derailleurs, you're going to find different mount. There's a different mount XTR and Saint 810, I believe, and 820. And you can actually switch cages between XTR and Saint if you are inclined to do so. Lower range derailleurs such as Olivia, Asira or Sora, ones with the plastic pinnacle, also use a different mount where there is a bracket which you have to gouge away. And that's about it. There's also a very old cage mount that's no longer used, at least I'm not aware it's used. And that's about it. So if you're planning to switch cages between derailleurs, because you also want this short cage for whatever reason, then you just need to pay attention whether the derailleurs which you're going to be using as an acceptor and a donor use the same mount pattern. And I am fairly sure that if you're going to be trying this on a different manufacturer, such as SRAM or Microshift or Campagnolo, the same rules apply, because, let's face it, most manufacturers like to reuse the same thing as long as they can get away with it, because that's smart manufacturing. Anyway, off I go to mount this to a bike. Thank you for your attention, and see you on the next one.